Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to do a video lesson today. Just so you know, this is my first time doing one of these, so just bear with me, and I'm learning just like you guys are learning. All right. So first off, we're going to talk about some new things today in starting Module 2 called transformations. So do you guys remember flip slide term from middle school? Okay, so right here we're going to look at that, looking at this falcon right here. So you can see on this falcon, it looks like this falcon was actually turned. Okay, so the new terminology we're going to use for that, it's not going to be turn. We're going to call that a rotation. So writing on this thing is very tricky. So my writing is definitely going to be off a little bit at first, but I'll get the hang of it. All right, so then right here, this one is just a slide, right? We just slid the falcon from one spot to the next. Well, the terminology we're going to use for that in geometry is going to be a translation. Translation. Okay, and again, these are all types of transformations. We're transforming these figures in some way. This one was a rotation, this one is a translation. And then this last one, you guys would probably call it a flip, because the falcon flipped from facing one direction to the other. The new terminology we use for that is called a reflection. So today we're going to do a video lesson on this one, translations. Okay, so that's what the topic of this video is going to be on. Okay, so a translation. Translation is just a slide of a pointer figure. In order to slide the figure, you just move the figure the number of spaces in the direction that is indicated. Okay, so that's essentially the definition of a translation. So just to talk about some notations on a translation, how we notate this. So right here we got triangle ABC. So let's say this right here is our ABC triangle. We'll call this point A, and this is B, and then we'll call this C. So whenever you translate this triangle into a new triangle, the new triangle is notated by the points A prime. Okay, it's basically, it looks like an apostrophe, but in math we call it a prime. And then down here this would be B prime, and of course this one would then be C prime. So that's just the notation that we use for the new figure once we do the transformation to the old figure. Okay, so that's the way to notate that. And also, whenever you're writing a rule, okay, whenever you're writing a rule, it looks like this. You've got an X point and a Y point, right? And this tells you the direction to move on the X-axis. So +4 means you're going to move it forward towards the positive side. So this one would be moving right 4. And then on the y-axis, you're going to go -2, so you're going to go down 2. And of course, if this was y +2, you'd go up 2. And if it was x -4, then you would be going left 4. All right, so whenever you see it like this, that's how you need to be thinking. The number with the x tells it to go left and right on the x-axis. Number with y tells it to move up or down on the y-axis. Plus moves towards the positive part of the axis. Minus moves towards the negative part of the axis. All right, let's go on. Okay, so right here, we actually want to write a rule for this right here, this transformation that's happened from to this shape, transforming it into this. So we're going to write that rule. So first of all, let's identify what happened to this shape in words. So let's start with we can pick any of the 4 points. All right, let's use point T, okay? Because I'm a big UT fan, so let's do T for Tennessee. So if we just look at the point T and T prime, right, we want to see how did the shape change to change T into T prime. Right, so looks like it moved 1, right, 2 spots to the right. Okay, so let's say it went right 2. And then it went down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spots. So right 2 and down 5. Okay, so now if we use the notation that we were looking at on the last slide, okay, if we look at this notation that was down here at the bottom, we want to try to write our rule that looks like this. Okay, so we identified this part. Now we've got to change it into a rule. So you're always going to start with this XY in parentheses and then the arrow to show what it changes into, what the shape transforms into. So let's go back here and we'll scroll down. So this is going to be, we're going to say, all right, we start with X, Y. That's what our original shape was. And it transformed by doing what to X? Well, it went right. So since it went right to, we need to add 2 to X. Okay, so we add 2 to X, and then we put a comma, and then we say what we did to our Y. So Y went down 5. So since it went down, it moved towards the negative part of the axis. So we're going to do minus 5. So then that right there shows us the rule for this transformation. So now at this point I want you guys to pause the video and try to write the rule right here for this second shape. Alright, so here's your answer for this one. You moved from the black shape to the blue shape. You notice these are my letters without a prime. So this is the original shape, and I went to the blue shape that has the primes on it. Okay, so I went left 1 and then down 3. So to go left 1, X, you had to subtract 1 to move it left, and then to go down 3, you had to subtract 3 from Y. So that was the answer for that one. So you can just check and make sure you did that one right. Okay, so let's go on. Now this is a little bit different. So we're going to actually have to graph the image of the figure, and we're given the rule. Okay, so the difference is now we're not given the two figures. We have to write the rule. We're given the rule in one of the figures, the original, and we have to translate it into the new figure. Okay, so what we need to identify is what does this x minus 2 do to this graph, and what does it do? What does the y minus 3 do to this graph? So x minus 2, that's either going to move it left and right, okay, because x-axis, as you can see, goes left to right. So minus 2 is going to move it 2 to the left, towards the minus side of the axis. So this is going to make it go left 2. And then the y-axis goes up and down, so this minus 3 is going to make it go up and down. Again, it moves it towards, since it's minus 3, towards the negative part of the y-axis, which is down here. So since we're moving closer to this, we're going to go down 3. All right. So and you have to do that for each one of these 4 points. All right. So starting at Q, we're going to go left 2. I've got my T in here, didn't I? Let's put that in there because I know one of y'all will point that out to me if I don't correct it. So we go left 2, and then we go down 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to put a new point there, and since I translated Q to get this point, I'm going to call this Q prime. All right. And then we're going to do the same thing with B. We're going to go left 2, and then down 1, 2, 3. And you say, but did I mess up because this is in the middle of this shape? That's okay. Sometimes they'll overlap. That's not a big deal. So this is B prime, right? And then we're going to do P, go left 2 and down 1, 2, 3. Right, this would be P prime. And then we do the same thing with T. We go left 2 and down 1, 2, 3, and we get T prime. And of course you want to connect these all together, make a nice shape with curvy lines, because I apparently can't work real well on this thing, but you guys can make straight lines, I'm sure. But as you can see, this shape looks very similar to this shape if I could draw straight lines. So that's essentially how you're going to take a translation from the original using the rule to create the translated shape. So I'm going to go ahead and pause it again, and I want you guys to try to use this rule on this shape right here for number 4. Okay, so as you can see right here, this is a little bit tricky. I hope it didn't mess you up. There's nothing done to the x. So when there's no number added or subtracted to the x, that just means you don't go left or right any. So we're not going to be translating it at all left or right. But we will go down 1 because we're subtracting 1 from y. So all you had to do right here was move every point down 1. So you can see right here, C went down 1 to C prime, F went down to 1 to F prime, and then J went down 1 to J prime, and there's our new figure. All right, so let's go on. Okay, so now there's some problems that you need to be aware of that are a little bit tricky, okay? So right here, this is our rule under xy translated to x minus 4 plus y, and y plus 5. Triangle ABC has translated vertices, and they give us A prime, B prime, and C prime. But they want us to find the original coordinates of A, B, and C. Okay, so they give us the rule, and they give us the new shape, and they want us to go backwards and tell them the coordinates of the original shape. So what you got to be able to identify here is how to go backwards. So let's go ahead and graph these points that we're given, the A prime, B prime, and C prime. So A prime is negative 8, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's our A prime. And then B prime is 2, 7. 4, 5, 6, 7. And C prime is 3, 1 over 1, 2, 3, up 1. Okay, so this is going to be pretty tough to draw this. I'm going to do my best. Wow, that was atrocious. And up and across. All right, so there are my points. Here's A prime, and here's B prime, and C prime. Okay, so using this rule right here, this was the rule that gave us this shape. So in order to find the coordinates of the original shape, we've got to go backwards. So we know that this shape would have us go right, or left, would have us go left 4 and up 5, right? The plus 5 make us go up 5, and the minus 4 make us go to the left 4 towards the negative part of the x-axis. But this is what was done to give us this. So in order to get the original, we need to do the opposite of this. We need to go backwards. So what we really need to do to find the original shape is go right 4 and down 5. And I forgot a letter again. Okay, so we need to go down 5 and right 4 from each of these points. So starting with A prime, and let me go to a different color. That might be nice to see too. Say blue. All right, so starting from A prime, let's go right 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then do the same thing with B prime. Right 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And C prime. Right 1, 2, 3, 4. Down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And of course we need to connect them, and it's probably going to be just as bad as the last one. So hopefully that'll at least entertain you guys a little bit. You can laugh at my awful triangles. That one is bad. Okay, so now here's the thing. When we notate this one, we're not going to use the primes. The shape we had before is the primes. We're writing the original. So this is A, this point is B, and then this point is C. Okay, so now at this point you might think, well, we're done. But remember the question says find the coordinates, the coordinates. So our answer is actually the coordinates of these 3 points. So we need to tell that A is the coordinate negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 0. Okay, so negative 4, 0. B is the coordinate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2. And then C is the coordinate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, negative 1, 2, 3, 4. 7, negative 4. So this is our answer because they wanted to know the coordinates of the points A, B, and C. All right. So again, a little tricky because they give you the shape it was translated to, the primes, and you have to use the rule to go backwards. So you need to be aware of what they're giving you. When you see that A prime, you know they're giving you the shape it translated into, and you need to do the opposite of these rules to find the original. All right. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to, let's see. No, we're not going to let you try this one. This one's tricky, so I'm going to go ahead and show you this one also. So you got triangle FGH is translated to triangle MNP. All right. Now they give you F, G, and M. So they give you 2 points, F and G, of the original, and they give you 1 point, M, of the new shape. Okay, they don't give you all 3 of one. And they also give you P of the new shape. So they give you 2 from the original and 2 from the new shape. And they want you to find the other 2. All right, so what we're going to do is graph the points that we were given originally. So let's say we start with the triangle that we started out with, FGH. So let's graph F and G. F is at 3, 9 over 1, 2, 3, and up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then G is at negative 1, 4. All right, so this is F, and this is G. All right, now, let's graph M and P in a different color here. So M is 4, 2. That's 3, 2, isn't it? Yeah, 4, 2. And P is 6, negative 3. So 2 more over, and then down 1, 2, 3. So this is M, and this is P. Okay, so now here's the tricky part. What we need to do is identify which one of these 2 blues match up with one of the 2 reds, because one of them has to match with the other one. So if we put FGH, and then we put M in P, we can see that F maps to M, G maps to N, and H maps to P. So the 2 that we're given that we know match up are F and M. So we've got F and we've got M. So that helps us find out our rule, because now we can just see, well, what happened to F to turn into M, and we can use that to make a rule and identify what G will change into and what was it that changed into P, okay? So we're going to use this right here to identify our rule. So let's see what happened to F in order to make it M. So it looks like we went right 1 and down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see, right 1 and down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we went right 1. Somehow I just switched to black. That's okay. And back to red. Right 1 and down 7. Okay, so in order to go from here to this, we see we would go right 1 and down 7 in order to change from this down to go to this one, okay? But if we want to start at one of these points and go back to the original, we're going to do the opposite. We're going to go left 1 and up 7. All right, so in order to now create the point H, H is what we originally had, okay, to give us P. We're going to have to do the opposite, because we know P and we've got to go back to H. So we need to go left 1 from P and then up 7. Left 1 up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's my point that P was mapped from, which was H. So this is H. And then in order to create the point N, we have to start at G, and we're going to do this. We're going to go right 1 and down 7 to go from this to that. We use this to go from here to there, and this one to go from here to that. So we're going to start at G and go right 1 and down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that gives us the triangle MNP. And of course in the blue we've got our triangle FGH that I can't draw. So again, the last question though says write the coordinate form of the translation. So they want us to find the coordinates of H and N. So we would say H is the coordinate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. So H is 5, 4. And then we could say that the other one, N is the point 0, negative 1, 2, 3. And the coordinate form of the translation is our rule. X, Y is translated into X. And what did we do to X to go from the original triangle to the other triangle? We went right 1, so that's going to be add 1 to make it go to the right. And then it went down 7. So we do what to Y? We subtract 7. So there is our coordinate form, and there are the points H and N, which is what they're asking for. So now you're going to try this problem and also this problem. All right. Okay, so if you've done this problem already, you'll hopefully get this result right here. So A, B, and C prime is what we were given, which is our red triangle. And they want us to find the coordinates of A, B, and C. So using the rule right here, we know that A, B, and C was the original triangle. So this is the rule we would have used to go from the original triangle, the blue triangle, to the red triangle. So knowing that, we need to do the opposite of this rule in order to create the blue triangle. So originally this rule would tell us to go right 2 because of the plus 2 and go down 5 because of the minus 5 with Y. But since we were given the translated shape and we need to find the original, we're going to do the opposite of that. So we're going to go left 2 and up 5. So from our A prime, we go left 2 and up 5, B prime, left 2 up 5, and the same for C prime. And that gives us our new shape A, B, and C. So the actual coordinates of those shapes would be, A would be -4, and then if we went up 5 from where we were originally, 9, so it'd be -4, 9. B would be 1 and 11, and you might think you were wrong since it was off the graph, but you were right. Nothing wrong with it going off the graph a little bit. And then C is, of course, -2, 1. So those would be the actual coordinates. That would be the answer because it said find the coordinates of A, B, and C. Right there they are. All right, so here on this one, you were given the points M from the original triangle and then all 3 points from the translated triangle. So you want to graph M and the other 3 points and then write down the 3 letters for each and see which letter maps to which letter of the new triangle. So we see that M is one that we're given and F is one that we're given, and those are the 2 that we know that map to each other. So we can use those 2 to figure out what happened to the original shape and figure out what we need to do to find the other 2. So if we had M going to F and we know those 2 points were right here, we know we went left 1 and up 1 in order to get our new point F. So consequently, we would need to go left 1 and up 1 to get E, and left 1 and up 1 to get G from the original points. So then kind of working backwards, we know if we had to go left 1 and up 1 to get E, we need to go right 1 and down 1 to get our original point that mapped to E, which we can see here was L. L went to E. And same thing with G, we need to go right 1 down 1 to get N, which is what mapped to G. So that's how we could find the coordinates for L and N. So we should write those. L is -2, -5, N is -4, -4. And then we could write the coordinate form of the translation. So we would have to go from, in order to go from L to LMN to EFG, we would need to go left 1 and up 1, which makes X go X -1, and then Y + 1 is what would shift at left 1 and up 1. All right, so appreciate your all's time watching the video today, and happy mathing.